I can't understand where this model sits in their lineup personally, just because it's called the Vorsprung, but the spec that is in this doesn't mean anything. Hey everyone, Dale here, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the Audi A3 specification. And for those of you that are new here, I work as an automotive consultant here in the UK and around the world, and I help manufacturers decide what sort of specification they should put into their vehicles. And more importantly, how much that specification is actually worth in terms of a value. So there's no point in a manufacturer adding specification into a vehicle if it's not actually worth anything to them or to you. So they call people like me in to help them understand what they should be putting into their specific vehicles. So we're going to jump straight into it. I'm going to use my trusty little Microsoft Surface Pen, as I always do. I'm going to record my screen so you can see what I'm doing. We'll do some picture-in-picture, and effectively we're going to look at this as if you were going to jump up in specification and whether it's going to be worth it. So if you go from a Technik model to a sport model, and in this case they Audi charge you £1,400 for the privilege, is the specification that they include worth £1,400? We're going to be also look at this in terms of a 3-year value, so this would be a typical PCP agreement, and you're thinking about keeping it, would it be worth keeping it with the specification that it's actually got in it? So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to quickly run through the specification of the base model so that you understand the starting point, and I've got a little key on the top right hand side of the screen there that just describes the engines that we're going to be looking at, which is the 30 TDI, which is 116 PS, and a 35 TDI, which is 150 PS. And as I always say with these videos, if you want to jump into an Audi A3, then that's entirely your prerogative. If you want to spend the £26,240 as I've highlighted here, then that's entirely up to you, and the spec that comes in the Technik model is the spec that you like and want to maybe investigate if you want to get that vehicle. So we're not going to value the Technik today, we're just going to do the specifications above that and see if they're actually worth it and what Audi includes. And obviously Audi have itemised and listed a few little elements here, 5 or 6 different ones in bullet points. So they deem these fairly important to the consumer to make you want to click through and potentially investigate looking at buying that vehicle. So that's all I'm looking at today. I obviously know that there's going to be more specification than we can currently see on this screen, but if Audi deem it pretty important to put just front and center like that, then that's what I'm going to value today. So we'll look at the Technik first, just so we know that what we're starting with. We've got 16-inch double arm alloy wheels, LED headlights with LED daytime running lights, MMI Navigation Plus with 10.1-inch touchscreen, Audi Virtual Cockpit 10.25-inch display, and Audi Presense front with pedestrian recognition. So to go from a Technik down, or up should I say, to a sport model, if I scroll down the screen, there's a little green arrow on the left hand side there, just obviously showing you where I'm looking, and the difference between those two models is £1,400. So that effectively means that you're going to pay Audi £1,400 to jump from a Technik model up to a sport model. In the middle there I've got a few values for what I think things are worth as individual items, and then on the right hand side I've got the total of what I think those items are worth as well. So you can see I've got a 0 next to the 17-inch parallel spoke style alloy wheels. That is because the way we value vehicles is that if the vehicle that comes before the one you're looking at, so in this case the base model or the Technik model, if that comes with alloy wheels, then there is no benefit in jumping up, even if it's a different size or style or shape or whatever it happens to be for an alloy wheel. If every vehicle within the Audi A3 product lineup gets alloy wheels, there is deemed to be no benefit to the customer, given that it's a different size. If you personally want to pay more money for a different style or a different size of alloy wheel, then that's entirely your prerogative. But from a valuation point of view and the way we look at these things and the way we educate manufacturers, is that there is no additional value just by adding an extra inch to an alloy wheel, because every vehicle comes with alloy wheels in their product. So that's why I've got a 0 next to that. Audi Drive Select, which is the comfort mode, the sport, the individual, the little button that you press that changes the dynamics of the car. I put a value against that. I do think it is a bit cheeky of Audi to include it on the sport model and not on the base model. But I put £250 worth of value down there because I do think it is something that people generally lean towards in terms of how they adapt their driving experience. Seats in twin leather, I put £750 in it. Obviously, if you want to pay more for leather seats, so you think it's worth more, then comment below. And if you obviously want to pay more, then you can pay more for it. But from my perspective, the way I see this vehicle, I put £750 down. And again, it's thinking in 3 years' time if you come to sell the vehicle. Dual zone electronic climate control. Yep, nice convenience option is that. So I put £150 worth of value in there. I think that's a very desirable piece of standard equipment. And door mirrors, electrically folding and dimming. Now the dimming is not the most important bit of folding door mirrors from a valuation point of view and the way we look at things. It's actually the folding bit that's the most important. But I put £200 down there for that particular piece of standard equipment. So in total, I came up with £1,350. So Audi have done a really good job here of adding specification that actually adds value to the vehicle. So if you spend your £1,400, I think you'll get most of that back if you came to sell it second hand. Jumping from the Sport down to the S-Line, again it's the same engine, so it's the 30 TDI and again the 30 TDI for the S-Line. So to go from a Sport to an S-Line, it's £1,900. As you can see on my screen, I've actually already got some lines just highlighting various exterior components. Audi actually don't do a very good job of explaining the differences externally with a lot of their product lineup. So I've obviously put a little square around the front fog surround, and if I scroll upwards, you can see it's massively different from the one on the Sport model. And obviously you get little badging and a few other little trinkets, and I think the front splitter is slightly different, and then around the back of the car will be different as well because it's a Sportline version. Audi don't do a very good job of highlighting the fact that it is different from an exterior point of view, which is a bit of a shame. But effectively on the Sportline, we've got 18-inch 5-arm dynamic design alloy wheels. Again, for the reason I mentioned earlier, it gets nothing. LED highlights with LED rear lights and dynamic rear indicators. I gave a little bit of value for that, primarily because the model preceding it looks like it doesn't get LED headlights with LED rear lights, and because it changes the visual appearance externally of the vehicle, it obviously gets a different value. So you're thinking in terms of, am I at a dealership and you're looking at them just at a glance, which one looks different? Obviously the S-Line is going to look a lot different to the Sport model if it's got different headlights and different surrounds and different bulbs and all that sort of stuff. So I put a bit of value in there, £250. Privacy glass, yeah, £150 I put in for that. As I mentioned in my other videos, security issues and keeping your passengers comfortable from the sun. Front sport seats, £200. I mentioned this in the Audi A1 video if you want to search for that and find that in my feed. I don't think front sport seats should be in the S-Line. I think they should be named a different name, which is what I would say to Audi. I don't think you should call them front sport seats. I think they should be called S-Line seats or something like that. And if you are going to put sport seats in one of your products, surely it should be in the Sport model. So it's a bit weird that they do it like that, but they've obviously got their reasons. But I would try to inform them of a different approach to how they name their models to get the best value from it. LED interior lighting pack, yeah, a little bit of value there. I know people can get a bit hung up on how the interior looks in terms of the lighting and how many colour configurations you get, so I've added a little bit of value there, but not much in 3 years' time. So in total I've put £650 down. So if you spend £1,900 to get into an S-Line, I think you're only going to get £650 back. Now, that is just based purely on this specification I can see here. I obviously can't, at the moment, put a value on what the S-Line badge means to people and the exterior looks, because the exterior looks are not described here in very great detail or any detail whatsoever. So I haven't put any value against it. But from a specification point of view, I put £650. But again, if you're coming to sell this in the future, you probably get most of the money back because it is the S-Line model with the interior and exterior design changes. So then we jump down to the Edition 1, which is a huge value change. So we go from £29,540, as we can see up here, to £35,440, and that's a difference of £5,460. So we obviously have to take into account that there's a difference in brake horsepower here, and also that it's an S-tronic. So it's gone from a manual to an S-tronic gearbox. It's gone from 116 PS to 150 PS. And anybody who's driven a vehicle that's got around 100 PS and to 150 PS will tell you there's quite a sizable difference with the performance. So in terms of the actual specification, 19-inch 5-arm trapezoid design alloy wheels, titanium matte grey, la-di-da, spinners, whatever it has on it, it doesn't really matter, it means nothing to us. It doesn't get any additional value. Audi Matrix LED headlights with rear taillights. Yeah, I put another £250 on because again it changes the exterior profile and look of that vehicle. So that gets another £250 on top of what the S-Line model had, where it just had the LED ones, not the Matrix LED ones, as far as my memory serves. Yes, that's correct. Black styling pack. Again, very subjective if you want a black styling pack or not, to dechrome things and whatever it happens to be, and whether it changes specific elements around that vehicle. I put £1,000 on for that. I do think it is quite significant, but again, they haven't gone into very much detail to tell me the specifics of what the styling pack includes, so I can only do it based on what I can visually see from a front 3/4 image, and I put £1,000 down. Audi Virtual Cockpit Plus. I had to look up what this was. I obviously know what the Audi Virtual Cockpit is, it's the digital display, but the Plus version adds a couple of extra inches, and it's more high def, which seems a bit weird to me in terms of the costing to Audi, why you would make a bigger screen that's more high def and not just have a high def smaller screen, or however they decided to do it. But I put some value down there for that, for a larger screen, £150. And a flat-bottomed 3-spoke leather multifunction sports steering wheel. I put £250 down for that. I think that is quite a desirable piece of standard equipment. And again, they haven't highlighted, apart from saying there's a black styling pack, they haven't said that the front fog surround have changed. They've obviously talked around the lights. Again, I think the front splitter is slightly different because of the front fog lights, and then you've got the rear of the vehicle as well. So I've put a total value down of £1,650. Again, based just on the spec. You would have to obviously consider the change in brake horsepower, and obviously it's going from a manual to an automatic gearbox, and whether that's worth the £5,460 leap to jump up to a £35,000 vehicle. So I think finally we have the Vorsprung edition, actually just called the Vorsprung on this model. This is another jump up quite significantly again. Going from £35,440 to £39,940. It's just mental. The price of that vehicle is just mental to me. The Vorsprung models, they seem like they're going after a specific targeted crowd and demographic for visual design style changes and a few other little things. And I can't understand where this model sits in their lineup. Personally, just because it's called the Vorsprung, but the spec that is in this doesn't mean anything. So I'll run through. Obviously there's a lot of red in there, and we've got the 19-inch twin-spoke design alloy wheels in anthracite black, Audi Matrix LED headlights with LED rear taillights, which is exactly the same as the model that came before it, the Edition 1, a black styling pack. Obviously again, it's the same argument with the alloy wheels. If the model that preceded it came with a black styling pack, and then the one that sits above that model comes with a black styling pack, it doesn't get any additional value because the model below it came with it. So that gets a 0 because the previous model got it as £1,000. Bang & Olufsen premium sound system with 3D sound, £250 I've got into there, I'll explain that in a second. And driver assistance systems. So just jumping back up to the Bang & Olufsen premium sound system with 3D sound, just because they have fancy names on them doesn't actually mean anything to us in terms of evaluation. The most important bit is that it has something that plays music, and it sounds reasonably decent, and it's not going to devalue the car because it sounds like crap effectively. But just because it's a Bang & Olufsen premium sound system doesn't mean anything to us. And I'm sure that the part of the £4,500 that Audi are charging for this vehicle, a lot of that is going into the manufacturer and the royalties potentially that go back to Bang & Olufsen to include it in their vehicle. I'm not sure what arrangement they have, but from a valuation perspective, it comes with a music and sound system. It doesn't matter what name it comes with, if it's Bose, in this case Bang & Olufsen, or any other manufacturer. Doesn't mean anything to us from a valuation perspective. So I put £250 down there just to recognise that it is a bit more premium, but in essence it's just a stereo, a fancy stereo. And driver assistance systems, it gets to 0. Stuff like that. I mean, you're going up to, if you're jumping £4,500 to a Vorsprung model, I don't really want to know that it's got driver assistance systems. I want to know about the performance of it. I want to know what the interior looks like. I want to know what's different, what is uniquely different about that model compared to the Edition 1 model, because it is a massive leap up in price, and a lot of the stuff on the Vorsprung you already get on the Edition 1. Apart from the Bang & Olufsen premium sound system, so it just seems like a bit of a weird spec, this one. So I probably advise Audi to either change the specification or to get rid of the model, in all honesty. So basically that's me done. Hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, obviously give it a like. If you've got any comments that you want to comment below about what I've talked about today, please comment below. If you want to see more videos like this, or you want me to look at a specific model, option, piece of standard equipment that you're personally looking at, please subscribe and comment below, and we can have a chat either privately or in the comments. But hopefully I see you guys in the next one. Cheers.